Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. I have with me Miss Saina Davis over there. Hey.
Hey.
So, Saina, we're going to open up the Kim Jacobs Show and give everyone that's going to come into the studio audience. I have like all of my guests walking into the studio right now virtually. And so what we're going to do is give everyone a chance to come in, get seated, and get excited because we have an opportunity to present some great information to you all as you balance different aspects of your life. So here on the Kim Jacobs Show, you know that it's my desire to be able to provide information that's focusing from the cradle to the grave and even beyond when we leave this earth. So from a balanced perspective, I want to make sure that you get information that's going to help your family, help your life be better in some regard, just by educating you. So make sure you share today's broadcast with all of your friends, your family, your coworkers, and you're going to hear some very thorough information from Miss Saina Davis, LMFT, who's going to be sharing some thoughtful and thought-provoking information with you today. So go ahead, take a moment, everyone. Saina, this is an opportunity for you as well to share the broadcast right from my page as well. And then I will provide a formal introduction. If you haven't taken a moment to subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show, at the conclusion of today's broadcast, make sure you do subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show, which is right on YouTube, and you'll be able to get notified when we go live right away. So also, just as a courtesy heads up, when you come in, if you want me to pop a comment in or question in for my guest, make sure you know that we do a flash round. And when we do that flash round, we pop those questions up and our guests get our speaker gets an opportunity to answer and address your questions. The only way she sees them, though, is if you type them in. Other than that, I won't even know that you're even in the studio audience, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started with today's show. And Saina, and that's how you pronounce it, is Saina. That's an exotic name, by the way. Saina is a licensed marriage and family therapist and has a private practice. Additionally, she is a contracted and insurance paneled clinician at the Armstrong Center for Hope in Durham, North Carolina. She assists individuals, couples, and families with achieving their mental health goals. And that's a key word, mental health goals, because sometimes that word is just brushed over, but she's able to help people that are dealing with mental health issues. Make sure you reach out to her. And she educates communities on the importance of maintaining psychological, physiological, and spiritual health by conducting workshops, seminars on soul care, mental wellness, and premarital marital relationships. She assists her husband, Dr. Herbert R. Davis, at Nehemiah Church, and they have 4 lovely daughters. Welcome, Saina.
Thank you. It is a blessing to be here on your show.
Well, I am so glad. You have just this big, glowing smile, and it just makes you want to like get to know more about Saina. It's so welcoming and inviting, and I am so glad that you're on today's episode. So I want to make sure, because I know that it's like packed with information and you're focusing on quite a bit of things. So we're talking today about caring for aging parents. Let me type that. And caring for an aging parent. There's so many people that watch the Kim Jacobs Show, and you're like caring, you're an adult and you're caring for your aging parents. So I thought this would be a great show. With everything that's going on right now, Saina, just with COVID-19 and everything that's happening around in society, not just that, the social injustice and unrest, it's a lot happening. So people are dealing with a lot of mental health issues right now. I know we're going to be talking about caring for aging parents, but do you want to just chime in on anything pertaining to mental health, since that's one of your expertise?
Yes, absolutely. It is so important that during this time that you pay attention to what's going on with you. When you start not functioning as you normally would, that is a good sign that you need to do something. You need to do something about it. So our bodies gives us signals. We might start having muscle tension, headaches, migraines, numbness going down one side of the body. You go into a room and you start forgetting things where you normally would remember. Just different little things that would occur, shortness of breath, increased heart rate, different things that our bodies will do to give us a signal, hey, something is not right. I
Right.
am not functioning normally. And so it's important that you don't ignore those signals. I realized just even recently that historically, through through slavery and just the colonization of America, it has been conditioned in our Black community that we just suffer. We just take it in and we don't say anything, because in slavery times, you had to take it. You had to ignore the pains because you had to keep going. Otherwise, you lose your life. But that conditioning has infiltrated our community so deeply rooted that when we have aches and pains, we ignore it. And sometimes those pains are not necessarily associated because they're just in of themselves are occurring, but because we are stressed, we are anxious, we are frustrated, we are angry. And so all these things will occur, but it's important that we pay attention to those signals and start to do something. Admit where we are. If you need assistance, get professional help. Use your support network. Start talking and sharing. Don't hold that in. It's important that we use our networks and begin to have these conversations and say, you know what, girl, I was having a headache today and I normally don't have a headache. And hopefully your friend will say, well, you need to think about where did that come from? You know, where were you worrying? You know, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point because not everybody has someone like you as a friend, and some people are in denial. So where
Mm-hmm.
you do try to serve as a friend to someone and say, you know, seems a little bit off kilter with what I'm observing in your overall behavior or character,
Yes.
and then sometimes you'll be put in your own place. You're like, oh gosh, I was trying to help, and now I'm
Mm-hmm.
being told that, you know, mind your business, basically. So how do you deal with
Mm-hmm.
situations like that when you know somebody's dealing with mental health issues and you're trying to help them? Maybe it's that I'm saying the wrong thing. So that's interesting.
So yeah. So sometimes it's important to provide examples, especially when you see trends. It's
Mhm.
hard for people to deny trends.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I noticed that you were very irritable, you know, when I brought up a certain subject. You know, is everything okay? Well, I wasn't irritable. Look at you're being irritable now that I'm bringing it up. You know, just I think it's important to bring examples to people, real live examples, and if possible in the moment to begin to point out, you know, this is not what you normally would do.
Right.
You're acting a little bit different than normal, and let's talk about, you know, what's going on with you right now if you're open to talking about it. And even if they're not open to talking about it, by pointing out trends consistently will help them to kind of go, you know what, I need to face the music. I need to think about what, you know, what am I portraying to others? And I need to admit it. You know, we lie to ourselves a lot, unfortunately, and we've got to confess and admit and be honest. I'm not behaving like I normally would. Normally I'm bubbly
Right.
and nice. And now I'm like, "Argh!" I'm ready to attack everything. You know, you say hi to me and I'm like, hi. I'm very angry even with my hello. And so it's important to you know, to admit the reality of where we are. And again, you can also pray for that person. Sometimes it'll take a God intervention to actually get that person to look in the mirror and realize something is not fully right.
That's good. Good advice. Well, I knew with me having you on today and so much happening with people being shut in and shut in with people that even have mental health issues, it would just be good to just touch on that for a brief moment. So thank you so much for doing that. That was very enlightening information. But today we're going to be talking obviously about caring for aging parents, and with a kind of like with a slant or a focus with it being Alzheimer's Awareness Month. And so I
Yeah.
wanted you to talk from that perspective a little bit. What are some of the, what are some of the basic characteristics of someone that even has Alzheimer's? Because a lot of people don't recognize it in their parents.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just want to put a disclaimer out there. I am not an Alzheimer's expert.
I understand.
And so I did my own research, and I'm using information from a research-based Fisher Center for Alzheimer's Research Foundation as a base as a source for us today.
Thank you. And thank you
Um,
for taking the time to, I know you focus on everything that I've already outlined, but I really appreciate you taking your willingness to talk from an Alzheimer's perspective, but then also you can talk generally too, from just caring for
Absolutely.
aging parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me just tell you a little bit about Alzheimer's, because having had quite a few of the females in my family to experience this, I very much have a very personal interest in Alzheimer's. So there's 7 stages that I'm informed that exist. And so the first one is just normal. Okay, so this can happen at any age. It's just normal forgetfulness. Our children will tell us, man, I forgot. That's not Alzheimer's, but it's just a normal, I forgot where I put my shoes, or I forgot where I put my homework, or, teenagers, I forgot where I put my socks, or, my gym equipment, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And even at any age, normal. This is just typical forgetfulness. Okay. Then there's stage 2. And so this is normal age forgetfulness, particularly for people who are age 65 and over,
Okay.
because that you'll tend to see that a lot more sort of in our grandparents age group. And in this case, they can decline or not. It could just be just what it is, which is just normal forgetfulness due to just typical aging of
Okay.
people. Okay. The third stage is mild cognitive impairment. So this stage goes beyond just forgetting. Okay. This is when they start repeating stories. To give you a quick personal story, my grandmother, who just passed away recently, she,
Too.
yeah, thank you. When she, I would call her, and this would probably be at least 2 or 3 years ago. There were certain things that I knew we were going to talk about. She knew who I was. That wasn't a problem. But she would tell me about her friend from Miss Susie from 1972, and how close Miss Susie was and how great of a person she was.
Right.
We were going to talk about the aloe vera plant that she gave me, that she gave others, and I was the only one, according to her, I was the only one that kept their plant and is still living. And then we were going to talk about how my dad took her car keys and how he thinks he's her daddy. And then we would repeat that story within the same conversation. So, but this is mild cognitive impairment. So there's a repeating of stories.
Wow.
At this point too, they may be able to really concentrate on certain things, not able to stay focused long. They may become anxious because they kind of are recognizing that they're not functioning as they normally would. And so that kind of begins to manifest in worry. And also this stage can occur for about 2 to 4 years. And also
that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so you could be like in that stage and you never even recognize it in your parent. You just may think that they're just talking about old stories that they want to bring up.
Yep.
Wow.
2 to 4 years. And also, depending on how often a family member or family members are around that loved one, that may or may not be detected. Especially if loved ones aren't talking to each other to compare stories, it may or may not be detectable. However, during this stage, though, it's very important to seek medical assistance to help become more informed, and also to seek primary care of that loved one's doctor, so that way they can make a proper referral, if need be, straight to the neurologist or to a psychiatrist.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but unless they see this show, people don't even know that this is something that they need to even focus on, because this would need to be a trigger based on hearing you say it as the person on my show today. Other than that, I would never know. My mom is just calling me, talking about something that is bothering her. And if it's constantly the same repeat conversation, then it's like, how do you even engage before you go to the next phase? How do you even say, you know, mom, you or dad, you've been talking about this for the last week often, or
Yeah.
how do you determine that that's even something that needs to be addressed?
I believe particularly when it's a historical story, so something that isn't
Hmm.
presently occurring. Okay,
Oh,
it's
okay.
typically these stories are typically something that didn't just happen the previous week. Um, these stories are typically, could be years, 10 years away. And
Hmm.
then also, it's important to pay attention when stories are repeats. So typically when there's a repeat, you may start laughing like, oh my gosh, we should keep talking about the same thing, ha ha ha, and kind of laugh it off, right?
That's
And not take
good.
it
Yeah.
seriously, right? And so I think when there is beginning to be a repeat of the same story and it's not a present memory and event, that is
Right.
a good sign that you may need to go to that loved one's next doctor's appointment and
Mm,
say, you know what, when's your next, grandma, when's your next doctor appointment? Well, I don't know. Well, let's schedule it. Because you got to make sure you get your normal checkups. Because I believe the checkups when you're over a certain age is not annual; it's more biannual. It's like they're closer together. And I apologize for not knowing the exact time frame, but it's not annual like ours are. It's
this is
closer
good.
together. That is closer together for when you get over a certain age, because they want to continuously check to make sure that you're still whatever your normal functioning is, you're still maintaining that. And so it's good to, when you notice it, go, find out when that next doctor's appointment is and go with
Wow.
them and begin to share, hey, doctor, here's what I've been seeing. And your loved one typically go, well, they think something wrong with me, right? So
Right.
when you start getting that kind of pushback, that's because that's coming from an honest place.
That's
That's coming
right.
that's not the time to go ignore it. No, there is something that's not quite the same. And you want to still, and I say this later on, but you still want to respect their autonomy. You still want to respect where they are. So you don't want to jump in at the first sight of something and go all, I need to take care of everything and all your affairs, and
Right.
I got to take over, and you don't know anything, because that is hurtful to your loved one, and that also will cause them to shut down and push you
That's
out,
right.
which is not what you want to happen. So you still want to respect
Wow.
them, love them, and let them know pretty much what you're doing by going to this doctor's appointment with them is an act of love. It's
That's
just
right.
you showing genuine care and
This is good.
concern.
This is so good. Okay. I don't even think I've been putting in the, I'm going to put them over in the comment section, guys, all of the 7 steps, because it's across multiple platforms like Twitch, Periscope, uh, Facebook, you name, and YouTube as well. So all of the platforms will get all 7 of these points that are this different phases. Okay. That's phase number 3.
So the next phase, number 4, is mild Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this diagnosis can be made due to years of evidence, basically. So, some of the things that occur, they're unable to manage complex activities of daily life. So, maybe unable to take pills from a labeled pill container.
Mm.
So, I remember one of the things that my dad would see in my grandmother, because he would check on her daily while she was living independently,
Mhm.
and he would always check the pill box. And it was
Wow.
one of those multiple pill boxes where you got the days of the week, but then you also have morning, afternoon, evening.
Right.
And so then initially that was a great system, she was able to follow it. But then after a while, he would notice, okay, the morning pills weren't taken, or the afternoon pills were missed,
These are just
or
generic pills for different types of things that she had going on, or
different
just,
conditions that she had going on that
oh,
she needed to take pills for.
oh,
Um,
wow.
and I think including one to help with memory from the doctor. So yeah, so he started noticing, okay, there's a missing of different pills that she was supposed to take. I think some of them might even been vitamins, um, but it didn't matter. She started missing them and would deny that she missed them. I've been taking them. And you're
That's
sitting
a
here
good
looking at the
point.
evidence going, no, you're missing
No,
some of them. You're missing some of them.
right.
So they start not being able to manage finances. Okay. I remember and scammers prey on the elderly. I remember my grandmother getting a phone call and giving all her bank account information. And telling the person where she lived. That's what it was. She told the person where she lived, and then when she talked to my dad, he's like, "Oh yeah, this person's going to come by and give me this $1,000,000." He was like, "No, they're not." And so he literally had to watch. My dad's retired law enforcement, so he literally did like a multiple day round the clock watch at her place to make sure nobody was coming on that day of, day before, day after. But yeah, so different things like that start to occur where they're susceptible to the lies of scammers type thing. Yeah, so
that's good, but it's also sad. So it's like, okay, before you go to point number 5, because one thing I'm trying to make sure I hear the feedback of my audience too.
Okay.
And sometimes when I do the flash round, it's so many things that have already been passed, and their comments are wanting to be made sooner. So right now, instead of just doing one flash round, I have to do multiple flash rounds. So let's see what some of the comments are. And you'll see them as well. You can chime in, answer what you feel comfortable, or just, smile and keep on.
Okay.
Some people are just sending shout outs. Good morning.
Hey, Lady T.
Good morning, Kim Jacobs. Hey, Allison.
Good morning, Lady Williams.
Good morning. Okay. Great point. Lady Tanya Anderson says I'm actually going to ask her to be on my show to talk about her prayer journal. And I know that you also recommended that she be on my show. And I was like, hey, I got her. She's going to be on the show. So we were great minds think alike. Hopefully you can go ahead and say yes, Lady Tanya Anderson now, so we can tell everybody that upcoming soon is the 21 prayer challenge. That 21-day prayer challenge is amazing. You all have to get her book before she come on this show. It's amazing. Okay. Admit where you are in life. Oh, that's me making the point that you had made, and get the help. Okay. Allison Skeet said, we're adjusting to this with my mother as she's a relatively new widow. My dad passed away less than 2 years ago, 1 month before their anniversary. They spent 60 years together. And we're seeing as her struggle with the loss of her life mate. We are around often, but she's having a hard time with being shut in and us not getting to her as much.
Yeah, that is tough, especially with COVID right now. That is so tough. They might have to find some creative ways to kind of connect even more so.
Yeah, and especially with some of the senior saints are not technologically savvy either, without getting the help that they need. So I know some things that I've witnessed people doing, Allison, is going and just either wearing a mask or going to the glass of your loved one, if you're not trying to make sure that she's getting sick from anything. That's the whole point, is trying to protect our elderly, making sure that maybe you go to the door or something and having the family just sit in chairs out on the lawn. I've witnessed people doing that, still having that together time and honoring your parent, but not exposing them to things that would harm them. So I've witnessed that, and I love that. And then lots of phone calls, and if she's able to do any kind of FaceTime, I don't know if you're able to talk to her about how to do a FaceTime thing that makes you feel connected,
Yeah. I've even seen people create like this huge board with plastic where the arms can go through, and they've been able to literally hug each other without physically touching, and having that plastic as a barrier to protect. And so they use that plastic as a barrier to protect, and we're able to still hug. So the loved one was on one side and on the other, and like they created it just for that space to still be able to touch, even though I'm not really touching you, but I am touching you. I'm still feeling that hug.
Oh, I love that. That's great advice. Okay, let's see what else. Some more comments. Repeating or forgetting things we see more now with my mom is what she said. We are making notes about our mom repeating and forgetting things. Andrea said, good morning.
Good morning, Lady Henderson.
Look for them to start melding life and television.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, what does that mean?
Basically, it's kind of like they are not fully differentiating between reality and TV. So they'll start
Oh,
talking about, life on the stories as if
okay.
it just happened to them, or just kind of
I
referring to it
get it.
as if this is reality.
Oh, wow. Okay. I love that to know that what that means because I had no. Sandra, good morning. My mom passed away 3 weeks
Um,
ago. From Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's effects. Man, this forum is deeply needed. Listening to
wow.
you speak sounds like the last 7 years of my life. Knowledge is power. Many don't realize REM sleep disorder, REM sleep disorder could be a precursor.
So rapid eye movement is what REM stands for. And yeah, you might be sleeping a lot more than normal and going into that deep sleep, and just hard to get you out of it. Yeah.
But who
Yeah.
would even know these things unless, like you're saying, I'm
We're talking about it.
grateful for your comments, Sandra, and I'm so deeply sympathetic, and you have our condolences for your mom's
Absolutely.
passing. And so I don't always say loss per se because I just believe that God has a place for our loved ones. So
Amen.
hopefully there'll be a reuniting again in the future with your mom. So Andrea says, this is good. This is good. Lady Williams says as well. Wow, some really good comments coming in. I'm sure lots more will come in. Yes, Lady Anderson, awesome, awesome. Barbara Graham says good morning. And yes, it does. See, when I put in yes, it does later as a flash round, people be like, what does that go with? It goes with something you've already just recently said.
Right, right.
This is wonderful. Thank you, Barbara, for being in the studio audience today. Allison said, forgetting, repeating, denial. We talk to her every day, and one sister is there with her, but she's been used to us all being there every Sunday for lunch after church. So we now do FaceTime, but she's just antsy. Not, she's not moving, or she's used to moving around, and now she's just sitting still.
Right.
So they refer to television like it's a part of their real life. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So this has been a good, interesting flash round already. Let me also take a moment to share with you all today's sponsor for the Kim Jacobs Show. This episode of the Kim Jacobs Show is sponsored by Alina Green, and she is actually known as the mind and body transformer. So let me go to, wait a minute, we'll go actually to my main page. Give me my channel, boop, boop, boop. And I am going to play her video. But today's sponsor, actually, you can see live is you and I right there. But I'm going to play today's.
Hi, Coach Elena Green here with Elena Green Fitness, where I help women reconnect with themselves through active living.
I'm going to start it back over so you hear the whole.
Hi, Coach Elena Green here with Elena Green Fitness, where I help women reconnect with themselves through active living, mind and body transformation. I want to personally invite you to our virtual Fit Body Expo 8-week program starting on July the 6th. Guys, if you have a goal to whip your body into shape, this program is for you. For more details, email elenagreenfitness@gmail.com or just simply look me up on Instagram and Facebook. I hope to see you there.
Woo-woo! Now listen,
Awesome.
this lady, when I say transformed, she transformed. She's lost 90 pounds and is amazing. So make sure you check out her program. She's one of the sponsors for this week's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. You can email me, kim@thebalancedoctor.tv, if you too would like to be a sponsor. And so we can go on with some more of the points that you're making, which are so helpful to everyone.
So let me finish 4, because there was a few more things that I think are evident that occurs in stage 4. So in addition to what I've already mentioned, they sometimes are unable to prepare meals. They may start having challenges stating the date and the year. The recent events, they might not be able to recall. They become less emotionally responsive. They start denying deficits as well. So they're in denial of what's really occurring. And Again, this stage could have a duration for about 2 years.
Mm.
Okay. So stage 5 is moderate Alzheimer's disease. So typically independent living is really no longer possible without catastrophic consequences here. So they may start not being able to choose proper clothing based upon the weather. They may start wearing the same clothes daily. They need assistance to make sure that they're eating and managing their bills. They may be inconsistent with being able to tell you their address. They also can become very angry and suspicious at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, they might be unable to tell you who the current president is or what the weather is, and definitely can't recall current events.
Wow. And so once it gets to that phase, you know something's going on. Even if you are in a long distance relationship with your loved one, you start seeing them forgetting some basic current events and trends and conversations, then you know it's time to just reach out to their doctor or to connect with them to learn more about really where they are.
Yes, they definitely, by this stage, you should have already have had doctors visits with them, and already an assessment should have already been completed, and a referral to a specialist should have already been done, whether psychiatrist or neurologist to assist.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
okay.
stage 6 is moderately severe Alzheimer's disease. So this is sort of a next progression where they're unable to carry out sort of basic life activities by themselves. So they might not be able to put clothes on or take care of their personal hygiene and toilet without assistance. They may definitely be unable to identify current aspects of their life. So for example, I remember my grandmother started calling my dad her husband, and like consistently, and would point to the other 3 brothers as their sons versus looking at the picture of 4 of them, stating that they're all were her sons. Also, they may start placing objects in the wrong place. They may have threatening outbursts. So sometimes they can turn a little violent a little bit. I remember my grandmother was staying with my cousin and her children, and they were, pretty much taking care of her. But then she would accuse the teenagers of doing things and get really upset and just kind of very verbally aggressive with them. So, and I do want to point out that even within this stage 6, there are 6 substages that just kind of really just start progressively declining in their functionality.
I'm here.
Right.
This is my camera. If you see me pop out, my camera done slid up to the ceiling. So I'm just putting you on. But
but and then go ahead.
No, you. I was gonna say, go ahead. You talking.
So then the last.
See me, I'm here.
All right. The last stage is severe Alzheimer's disease. Okay. This is where they are requiring 24-hour care, basically. And there are 6 substages even within this last stage. So sometimes it starts with the ability to lose language. And so they're not using words properly. And then it just declines to where they're not speaking or using language at all. They lose the ability to hold themselves up when seated. So instead of being being seated and sitting up, they start to kind of fall over and just not be able to hold themselves up without support. It then progresses to, they might not be able to hold their head up right. They need support for their head. Typically, mobility becomes very rigid. They may start developing joint deformities. And then they also may even revert back to primitive and infantile reflexes. So start sucking or drooling, different things. And so typically at this point, they become susceptible to other conditions, which will ultimately cause their demise.
This is very heartbreaking information, because I didn't know this level of detail. I do have like my brother's father, his dad's mother, which is my grandmother figure type of person, she had dementia, and I saw this strong woman go from living this great life and being so in control and everything to literally, like you said, going back to almost an infant-like state. And it seems like that's when we need to be there the most for them, because they need us. It's out of their control. And you can't even predict who's going to be susceptible to getting this. This is like can happen to anybody.
Anybody.
And so it's not, I don't know, it's no trigger that I've found, and I've done some research to figure out that this is what, if you prevent doing this, this will prevent you from getting Alzheimer's. That's not anything I found.
Yeah. It's not, unfortunately, because even the healthiest of person could develop this, you know.
Wow.
So
what do you recommend for people? You've said some really great information. Let me go back again for a flash round before I switch topics, because people will be like, what? Why did you not do my flash round question? Okay. There's awesome information, Robin.
Hey, Sister Robin.
Probably just some typo. Okay. Sandra Williams, this is very educational.
Hey, Lady Williams.
Knowledge is power. So many are now caretakers of our parents. It's important to be able to identify issues to help you and take caretakers. Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing this information. You're so welcome. And thank my guest, Saina Davis, who is here today to share this information. Let's see. I put in all of the points that's been shared. So you have all 7 steps. Audrey Moore says, I have cared and still caring for Alzheimer's, including my husband and his father that's passed on. Wow. My current job title now is caring for her. Current job title is actually caring for her. It was for her father and his father. Her husband and his father, my God. We're praying for you, Audrey. Yes. They get very angry, she said.
They do.
Yes. But you have to have a certain level of patience and understanding that it's not them. They're having almost like an out-of-body experience is what it sounds like. I hope that's the right wording, because I don't want to be.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to remind yourself that this is not the loved one that you knew prior to this condition to starting. This is what you're seeing are the manifestations of that particular disease through your loved one. Your loved one's still in there some kind of way, but what they're displaying is not what they, who they normally are. And you got to be understanding of that and be very, very patient with that, with your loved one.
Wow, this is some great information. How people have said, my mom, Lindell says my mom is number 5. She's very combative at times, and she wears the same clothes and gets upset when you tell her she no longer lives alone. So she knows what number based on what you shared. That it's the category that her mom is in. Audrey Moore says anybody cannot take care of them. You're right.
That's right. That's right. Because I have some family members who I'm not going to name who were very aggressive with my grandmother. And, we were able to kind of limit their connection in terms of seeing her to prevent them taking advantage of her. But yeah, being very aggressive. That's not the approach. If they're telling the same story, just listen to it. If they're forgetting details about a story, that's not the time to correct them. Just listen. Just go, oh, okay, yeah, really? Wow, interesting. And just leave it at that. Allow them that space to just to present as best as they can with where they are and be okay with that.
That's really good, because you're right. Certain family members is like, you're forbidden because you already got too much other stuff happening. So the last thing you need to do is be more angrier. So you don't want that, I do want to encourage you all, if you're enjoying shows like this that you're seeing, especially from a balanced perspective, and it's meeting your needs for your family, please make sure you subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show. And here's the link for you to subscribe. I put it in the comments. It's on YouTube. It's under Daily Balance with Kim J, and you can just subscribe there to be a part. Now, if you also would like to hear a lot more information and connect with Saina L. Davis, LMFT, and which is, you want to tell them what LMFT stands for?
Yes, it's Licensed Marriage and Family Therapist.
Okay. And so she is able to help you. I know we're talking about Alzheimer's, but if you're having marital issues, relational issues, if you're having mental health issues, I don't want only the people that are focusing on Alzheimer's issues to only be the people to know to reach out, but I want people to know that she has a wide array of services and she has a private practice. So please make sure that you reach out to her. The way that you can reach Saina is by going to Saina, which is PSIYINAL Davis.com. And the reason I spell it, even though I know you guys that are on are watching it, I also have a podcast on iHeartRadio, and I have it on SoundCloud and iTunes. So people that don't visibly be able to see the recording, they'll get a chance to hear it. And you can download the Kim Jacobs Show on any of your devices. If you just want to hear it while you're driving, you can still hear this profound information from SainaLDavis.com. Woo, okay, this was some good information, Saina. Now, I know as you're talking about Alzheimer's, you're also talking about caring just for your aging parents. And sometimes when people are caring for other people, how do you recommend that they care for themselves? Because that's important. How can you take care of yourself when you're trying to take care of other people?
It is vital that you take care of yourself. And so as you first need to make sure you're learning about whatever condition your loved one has. So it may be, cancer, it may be Alzheimer's, it may be dementia, it may be some other condition where they're not able to take care of themselves fully. So just learn about that condition so you can be informed. Okay. But you also, as caregivers, you need to develop your support system, not only for the care of your loved one, but also for you. It is so important that you have your support system so that they can see how you're functioning and go, hey, you know what? It may be time for you to take a break. It may, is there someone that can, step in for a few hours and take care of your loved one if they're in your home? Is there a way that you can tap into resources for paid help to come in, for a couple hours out of the day, or just while you're working, so that your loved one still gets quality care, but then you also can take a break. And when you have ones that can provide care for your loved one, take the break. Take the break. Okay. It's important that you, as a caregiver, that you are exercising. Exercising has been researched to be the most unused and unprescribed remedy for a lot of what we are experiencing mentally. And so exercise helps you with emotional regulation, and it helps as a stress reliever. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so much, exercise is going to help keep it out of your body, help keep your mind clear so that you're able to make the best decisions for your loved one and for yourself. You also need to eat healthy. You need to plan breaks for providing care and schedule fun. I need to say that again. Schedule some fun. Do not continue to provide this constant care and you neglect yourself. You neglect living while you're providing care. So take breaks from providing care.
That's
and
good.
Schedule some fun.
Schedule
Also,
some fun. My God,
it is so important that you get both rest and relaxation. They are very different and both necessary. Relaxation is where you're actually doing activities that are calming. You're doing activities that are enjoyable, and they just, really naturally produce serotonin for you, which is a happy messenger that's associated with just being happy. And so relaxation activities tend to do that. So you do need to have that. But then you also need rest. Rest is not doing something. It is not necessarily sleeping, but it is not doing anything. Rest can lead to sleep, but rest is about unplugging. It's similar to logging off your phone and and turning your phone off. You have to allow your mind to rest and allow it to recharge and rejuvenate itself. So while you're resting, you are not thinking about the next doctor's appointment. While you're resting, you're not thinking about the next schedule, the next thing to do, but you're literally unplugging and allowing your mind to regenerate. Okay. You need to have some laughter and humor. I remember telling my dad, and he would be so frustrated with my grandmother because she's doing stuff and she's getting irritated because she doesn't realize that she did it and she's accusing everybody else of doing it. And so she accused my cousins of taking her CD player, and she was adamant they took the CD player. And so my dad comes over, he's like, goes to looking. And after going through, I don't know, about 40 those grocery bags, about 40 of them being wrapped around and rubber band around this CD player. And he pulls it out and she just looks at him. I said, that would have been a good place to laugh, because you have to laugh. You had to laugh at some of the stuff, you know. I know he was frustrated to have to find it, but hey, that was funny to me. I was like, you need to laugh a little bit more about these things. You bring some humor in to what's going on. Also, on the opposite end, cry when you need to. Don't hold this in. Every now and then you might need to cry, because it is hard to see your loved one decline. Whatever the condition is, it is very hard. And so you may need to cry sometimes. Also, and lastly, you need to recognize when you are not functioning as your typical self, and you need to respond to that need. You do not need to neglect your own needs. This is where you have to be balanced. Since we're on the balance show, you have to balance out loving your neighbor as yourself. That's the same level of care that you're giving to your loved one. You have to extend it to yourself. There's the balance. It's not more than or less than.
Well, I'm typing everything you're saying. So, and over here, my camera's going up in the air, because when I'm typing on my computer, it's just like, whoop. I say, I don't even care. I don't care about that at all. As long as this information gets out. Sometimes people are like, we're gonna have to edit this. I'm not editing anything. It's some good information. So if the camera goes up, I'll just pop myself off and let you keep right on talking. But This is some good stuff. Okay, so balance. I want to get that one statement. You said cry sometimes, which I did get that. But I want to get that last statement that you said, since we're on the balance show. I want to type it.
I said, you have to recognize when you are not functioning as yourself, as a and as a caregiver, and you need to respond to those needs. Okay, because this is about balanced living, meaning that you are providing care. So you're loving your neighbor, but you have to love yourself the same way. So a lot of people are giving their 100% all to their caring for their loved one, and they need to do that and should do that. They also need to give that same level of care to themselves. You are your number one asset. If you neglect the care of your number one asset, you will not be able to fully care for your loved one in the best capacity.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, this is such good stuff. Okay, wow. I gotta put that comment up. I was typing this a whole paragraph, but I'm getting it up there. This is some great information. I'm going to go also again to the studio audience, because they're making so many comments, and I don't want the show to end. So I'm kind of glad today I did multiple flash rounds, because I think this flows a little bit better. What do you think?
I like the flow. Yes.
Good. I'm hoping you're comfortable.
I am. This was great.
Lady Linda Allen said, this
Hey, Lady Linda.
Good. Such good advice, Lady Perry says.
Hey, Lady Perry.
Okay, let's see here.
Hey, Sister Janice.
Janice says, amen. I initially struggled with accepting help until a healthcare professional friend of mine told me that they will bury me before my mom if I keep trying to do it all. My God.
Right.
I finally recognized I didn't have to do it all. Now I'm very intentional with planning breaks, vacations, and self-care. Woo, woo, woo.
Yay. Awesome, Sister Janice. Yes.
Awesome. And now you can see by your profile picture, you got a whole new attitude. You like don't start nothing. Thanks for coming on the show today. Tanya Anderson, Lady Tanya Anderson said, balance. Yeah. Okay, I think I've gotten quiet. I tried to really represent my studio. Okay, here. Courtney's on, my brother. He said, rest and relaxation is very important.
Very.
Lady Linda Allen said, good morning, ladies. Good morning to you. Now, Lady Linda Allen is actually, let me reiterate this, Cake, Coffee, and Conversations.
Yes.
She's the author of that book. If you do not have Cake, Coffee, and Conversations, make sure you get the copy. It is some real talk for women that are definitely in ministry and those that are just trying to get a handle on some things in life. Make sure you get Cake, Coffee, Conversations. She was a guest on my show already, so you can go back on one of my episodes and check out that interview. It was great. Okay. Yes, you are 100. Courtney says she is 100. Walking and exercising helps a lot.
Yep.
Somebody else said, Allison said, you are just the second person that I've ever heard with the name Saina. It's so lyrical. And she has, you can see her earrings and everything, Allison. She flows with that name. So she knows it's something. Yeah. You know how somebody know that they got something going on? That's what this lady over here knows. Saina knows this. I had a friend in Brooklyn who gave her daughter that name back in the 80s.
I probably gave your friend that name.
So you guys might be connected some kind of way, huh? You like your name, Saina? Did you like your name growing up?
Oh, initially, no, because I got teased incessantly about my name at every stage of life until I started probably maybe around 4th, 5th grade, that I finally was like, okay, this is it. And yeah, I begged my mom to change my name.
Wow, well, that's funny because my middle name is Debater. And so you met your match, right?
Uh-huh.
You're like this. You're like, you should have told me that backstage, Kim, so I wouldn't have my real emotion right here on the show. I saw you, Saina.
My face doesn't hide anything.
Like this. Wait, what? What did you just say? The what? Darth Vader? And that's what kids would call me. They would say, hello, Darth Vader. And that's why I don't like Star Wars right now, messing around.
Right.
My family, they love Star Wars. They beat me up in all of the Star Trek and Star Wars. I was like, I don't want nothing to beat me up nowhere. How about that? Because my middle name is Debater, and people are like, Darth Vader coming. But now it's an honor because it was in honor of my great grandmother, Vader Perkins, and she lived to be 91 years old. She read the Bible every day. A woman of God, a little 4 feet. She was about 4 feet 6 inches, if that. Had 20 children out of her body, adopted. So my grandmother, I'm like, I am honored to be called.
Yes, that's right.
Kimberly Vater is even more important to me, but the D is just the extra, exotic stuff. D-E-D-E, Vater. Yeah. But I love being Debater now in honor of my grandmother.
And I love being Saina. Yeah. Understood.
Okay, let's see what else some more people said. Allison said, you are just the second person. Okay, so I already said that. And Tina Flowers, Attorney Flowers.
Hey, Attorney Flowers.
Thank you for this information. Now, if you guys missed the episode that Tina Rogers Flowers was on, you have to go back. I had her as an attorney, some protesters, business owners, people from the community talking about I Can't Breathe and the whole concept of everything that's been happening with social injustice and killing and murder of people. It's so much. But the thing that she talked about on my interview, I won't even tell you every detail, but she's been talking about how long as a people that I Can't Breathe has been in effect, basically. So you want to go back and check that interview out. And she has some profound information that she shares. So thank you, Tina Rogers, for being on my show last week. Let's see. Denise Washington said, okay, he was in stage 5.
Okay.
Very helpful information. I'm the primary caregiver for my mom, who is increased stage of congestive heart failure, but I worry when she has moments of confusion. My grandfather passed when news. So her grandfather had passed away. Good show, Courtney said. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I get all of your comments, not to get off the subject at hand, but looking at phase 6, there have been individuals who are experiencing extreme grief, stress, sometimes exhibit similar characteristics. So would you say it's important education on that subject matter too?
Absolutely. Because grief, there's normal level of grief, and then there's unhealthy grief. Okay. Unhealthy grief is when you're trying to fight yourself from grieving. It's almost like you want to cry, but you're like, nope, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to suck it in and hold it in. And like, that's not healthy. Like when you want to cry, you need to let it cry. Right. When you want to yell and scream in that moment, go ahead and do it, because holding it in is what causes and prolongs healthy grief from actually occurring. Right. Yeah. So when you start withdrawing from just your normal functioning, that's not healthy grief. So you could still be, grieving your loved one and still, allow yourself to go to work. Obviously, there's times when you need breaks, and that's important to take those breaks.
Right.
But when you're at work and you're just completely not connected to your work, you may need to get some assistance to help you with that grief. Yeah.
That's good feedback. Very good feedback. You've shared so much good information outstanding information. And everyone watching this broadcast, please share it across the board to let people know that on the Kim Jacobs Show, I have guests like Saina Davis that's coming on and sharing powerful information that's to help with some aspect of how you balance different phases of your lives. And so anything that you recommend as a show idea, please make sure you email it to me. And I'm welcome to receiving those ideas. If you're interested in being a show guest yourself or know of a good show guest, make sure you reach out, Kim@thebalancedoctor.tv. I'll put that email here so that you know how to get in touch with me. And I really am welcoming great show topics like this, because until finally somebody comes on and shares this information, I don't know that it's going to be so helpful to my audience. So Kim at the Balanced Doctor, somebody said they love you. Sharice Crane said, we love you.
Oh, bless your sister Crane.
Okay, Allison said, hey, laugh out loud, and my friend name is Kim, so you never know. Okay, so somebody named Saina and her friend name is Kim.
Right.
Morning first.
Hey, Sister Danielle.
So people are really, really chiming in, sharing love. This was definitely powerful and helpful information. Thank you for sharing. Okay. This is so good. Any last words that you just have in your spirit? Sometimes when my guests come on and they're getting ready to get off the show, they're like, dog, I should have said this and I didn't get to say it. What last words of encouragement would you share with everyone?
So I would like to say that it's important that you are honest and admit where you are. It's okay that you are blessed and highly favored, and yet you are afraid, or you're tired, or you're weary, or you're exhausted as a caregiver. Admit where you are, because you can't help yourself be better as a person, as a caregiver, without being honest. And sometimes you have to interrupt the dysfunction that you may be experiencing and take a pause to assess what's going on. Take a minute to think about what you're grateful for. Sometimes take a practice of gratitude helps kind of alleviates chaos a little bit and helps you to kind of center yourself and begin to start again. And remind yourself, take one thing at a time. Sometimes we see the task as caregivers as this huge elephant that we have to take this one bite to get it all. No, when we put food in our mouth, we take one bite at a time. And so try to look at the different tasks and aspects of care as one step at a time. And instead of looking at all these conglomerate of things that you need to do, take a Sabbath, take a rest, take a time to refresh and to renew. We were not created to be 24/7. Although caregiving may be 24/7, you were not created to be that. Make sure you're taking a Sabbath, a time to rest. Organize your schedule so that you're included in it. Don't organize yourself out of being a priority in terms of care. And again, going back to that rest and relaxation, it is so important. Rest is productivity. Rest is causing you to be productive, because it's that renewal that helps you to refresh and also be able to do what you need to do. No, stay out of denial of needing help. It's okay to admit help. You're not weak because you need help as a caregiver. And also don't deny your loved one's condition, and don't neglect yourself in this time of caring for others.
I love it. I love everything that you've shared, and I really hope that everyone's benefited at the same level that I did. I love having a guest on that I learned something myself, and I feel like I learned so much from you about Alzheimer's today. So thank you. I have definite signs that I can look for in my own family, and if I see it in someone else's family that I've known for a long time, I'll definitely say those sound like some signs from something that Saina Davis shared on my show. And that just heightens the education is key. Knowledge is power.
Amen.
So very good. Very good information. Joining at 12 to 12:30. I'd love for you guys to know that Monday through Friday, especially since COVID-19 has been happening, we have a prayer line, and it's 978 990-5000. Access code is 322-083#. Pastor Jacobs is praying for people that are infected with COVID-19, those that are in the hospital, that are in the hospital for reasons not even COVID related, but they're still there in isolation because they can't have their family members come. He goes over statistics as well. And so even though I'm here typically on my show for a little beyond that time, if you're ever interested in joining in on that prayer call, it's 12 to 12:30 Monday through Friday. And I want to make sure you know that prayer is happening and you're welcome to be a part of it. I still see more comments coming in and people are saying, hey, thank you for sharing. I typed one of the comments that you shared. Rest is productivity.
Yes.
Who else made a comment? Wonderful and much needed information. You ladies are amazing. You are amazing.
You are amazing, Lady Perry. Yes,
You
you
are
are.
amazing. And exactly your profile picture over there looks exactly how your spirit is. It's so sweet and inviting and welcoming and loving and considerate and always thinking about everybody else. I'm just so glad that you even stopped by to be a part of the studio audience. And see, if I had it like that, I'd be like, and you get a car and you get a car.
It's coming, Kim. It's coming. It's coming.
You get an opportunity to, so you get a chance to subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show, and you get a chance.
Yes.
So anyway, I've enjoyed having you, Saina, on the show today. Thank you for being my special guest. You've blessed me, and
thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on here.
I'm glad. I hope you enjoyed yourself, even though it's an interesting topic, but glad you came on.
I did. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you all for tuning into the Kim Jacobs Show. Yes. Tune in tomorrow. I have a young lady from Duquesne University that sings opera in 5 different languages. And I also have another special musical guest that will be on tomorrow as well with her. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. This is also Music Month, and I want to make sure that I highlight some different musical talents that are out here. So make sure you know that it's going to be a great show lined up for you tomorrow. Who just made a comment here? Bless you both. Bless you as well. Thank you. Great show as usual. Have a great day. Okay. So God bless you all. Tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. And again, thank you so much to my sponsor today, Alina Green Fitness, Mind and Body Transformer. To see you guys tomorrow at 11 o'clock.